Hello everyone, my name is Legendaries and this game is Rise of Kingdoms. And today we have Cid Commander Spotlight version 2.0. Well, this has been quite a while since I had talked about Cid, and I do have to say that first time when I've done his Commander Spotlight, there weren't very many Archer commanders out there. But now with the new meta of Archer commander that is being introduced into the game, Cid might just have a comeback. So definitely I have to review his Commander Spotlight, and there is a lot to say about Cid. Now first of all, like any other legendary commanders, you guys want to know about the stars and you guys want to know about the sculptures that are needed to actually upgrade a legendary. Is very expensive in terms of sculptures to max a legendary. Not that Cid was considered a legendary before, but he is legendary in the game, at least physically he is a legendary. Another couple more important things about legendaries is that you want to keep them at 1 star and upgrade their primary skill, then you want to move to the 2nd star. In some situation, some commanders you can take them to the 3rd star, maybe their 3rd skill is much more important and you want to hope for that one to be maxed out. But Cid is very important, the primary, the secondary and the 3rd skill. So pretty much exactly like I have him right now, that's the way you should do your Cid. So 1 star, then you keep him with 2 star, after that you keep him with 3 star until you max out his 3rd, and after that you can unlock his 4th. Once he is 5551, that's pretty much the minimum way I would actually start working on him. Do not spend universal sculptures, this is very important. Do not spend universal sculptures on Cid, it's definitely not worth it. Just wait for the gold keys, upgrade him with the gold keys. A couple more important things about legendary is the equipment. The equipment only apply from the primary commander, so if you're using Cid as a primary commander, make sure he has the equipment relevant to archers on him, because otherwise it will not apply. Also, talents only apply from the primary commanders, so it's also very important that you actually keep the proper talents on your primary commander. Right, now Cid has a comeback. Before I'm gonna go into the talents and after that going into the pairings, I have to talk a little bit about his skills. Well, obviously his primary skill is very disappointing. 1000 direct damage factor is very weak. He does disable the target's normal attack and active skills for 1 second. That's pretty nice, but this is his active skill, so if he's actually silenced, there are so many commanders right now that silence, and very useful ones like Guan Yu, so it's very hard to actually say that this is actually a proper skill damage. 1000 is still very low. His 2nd skill is just a normal additional damage factor of 1000, which again is pretty low. If you look at the new commanders with additional damage, look at that, 1700 and healing effect reduction. So that's quite a lot of damage and quite a lot of debuffs that are stacked within just 1 skill, while Cid just have a blunt 1000 damage factor on additional damage. So yeah, nothing very crazy about his first 2 skills. But then he has his 3rd skill, which probably has been neglected for quite a while. Archer defense bonus 20%, archer march speed bonus 15%, and he has his 4th skill, which increases his damage bonus by 25% when he's been reduced to less than 50% of his units, and 25% march speed. Now if you go to his expertise, increase archers units attack and defense. Pretty much a lot of players, they have Cid maxed out either through the chest, the daily chest, because the daily chest, the commanderies keep changing as you keep maxing it out. You can go to the shop and you have the daily chest. It starts with double C, after that is Charles Martel, and then it's Cid. After that it goes to Mehmed, Julius Caesar and Frederick. I'm not sure if exactly that is the order on the last 3. So there's other ways you can max Cid. He was also in the Mightiest Governor. I'm not sure if he still is in the Mightiest Governor. Like, I believe the 3rd commander in the Mightiest Governor, it starts with Julius Caesar, after that is Charles Martel, and then it's Cid. At least that's how my order when I started playing on the Mightiest Governor it was. And he also drops in the gold chest. So there's plenty of ways to actually upgrade his skills. Don't spend universal sculptures, you will regret it, it's not worth it. But if you manage to max out El Cid and you actually got his expertise done, there's actually variations of ways that you can actually use him now, because a lot of commanders have been introduced and apparently archers might have a comeback on the battlefield, and El Cid will definitely have a utility because of this march speed and all these defense capabilities that these commanders are able to pack together. Because my El Cid is not level 60, I'm gonna have to use another commander as a reference when it comes to his talents. So I'm gonna go into the talents now, but I'm gonna use Hermann because Hermann has the same archer and skill talent tree. Versatility talent tree is not really good, don't go into it, but archer and skill talent tree, it's exactly what Hermann has, Kusunoki, YSG, or any other commander including Edward as well. So definitely I'm gonna show the talent trees from Hermann. And you're noticing there is 3 points left. I'm gonna get to that point as well, why I have 3 points left. Usually on any skill damaging commander, so bear in mind, any skill damaging commander, infantry, cavs, archer, this is the minimum I would go. You have probably seen talent trees without clarity, you have probably seen talent trees without rejuvenate. But I'm honestly telling you that this is the minimum that you want on the skill talent tree. Going with feral nature or without feral nature, that's definitely an option. There's 10 talent trees that you have to put extra. There's a lot of other things you can, for example, get from the archer tree or the cav tree or the infantry tree, but as a base, this is the minimum I would go with. Now, if you've seen talent trees without clarity, that's probably one of the worst. Increase, after using an active skill, increase skill damage by 6% for the next 6 seconds. You have the primary in command, and you have the secondary in command. So the primary is boosting the secondary with 6% skill, and then the secondary is just gonna reset the time, and you have 6 seconds to cast the skill again on the primary. So going on and on, this is a permanent boost that you have on your skill damaging commanders. So having a talent tree without clarity, that's pretty wrong. Having a talent tree without rejuvenate, I also consider it wrong, because this is instantly 60 rage whenever a skill is used. So skill is something that commanders use periodically. So this is 100% rage that you get after each skill. I just wanted to explain it and just put it out there in this video because I get a lot of questions about the talents, or why do I use talents like that or like this. Now going into the archer tree, again, this is the minimum with venomous sting. This is the minimum I would go on the archer tree. And the razor sharp, you probably seen, or if you're not gonna see, I'm gonna show Edward's talent tree as well. It doesn't have phoenix tail, and I'm gonna explain for that as well. Now, the reason I have 3 talent points left is because of the new commanders that are coming out. Usually my talent tree on archers, they go with extra attack. I want to go with 100% damage, something that is not related to RNG. RNG is random number generated. So whenever you've seen in chats or people talking about RNG, basically this chance that you see over here on the phoenix tail or on whistling arrows, this is RNG because you have 10% chance for this to go in. So you can go in once on 10 turns, or you can go in once on 15 turns, or you can go 3 times in 10 turns. So that's random number generated. My usual talent trees on archers, they usually go with the attack. So 3 points left, 1 over here and another 2 on the full quiver. That's 3% guarantee attack. But this is the reason I left these 3 talent points available, because you have options. You can go for whistling arrow as well. I have been asked about this. Why you're not going with whistling arrows? It's definitely a very nice talent, but exactly like I was mentioning, it's RNG. You need to have luck for this 10% chance to go in. It's all damage. If you put 3 points in here, that's 15% all damage. So there's normal attack, there's counter attack. But the reason why I'm saying it is because I tried it and I actually didn't see very huge difference. I haven't seen very huge difference because archers don't actually do a lot of normal attack damage and counter attack damage, and if this doesn't go in on the same time when you do skill damage, then this is kind of pointless. I'll be very honest. On the other hand, 3% attack, that's just guarantee attack, and that's empowering the skill damage every single time. Now there is also the other option. You're noticing here enhances additional skill damage, latent power. Like I said, this talent tree, you are doing it for Cid, and this is the reason why I left the 3 talent points, because personally for Cid I strongly believe that this is the best option you can go with additional skill damage. And when we're gonna get into the pairings, you'll understand more and more why I'm saying latent power for them. On the same time, whistling arrows, if you want to go for chances, can also be a very good option for those pairs. It needs too much testing to actually prove which is better. I personally always say fuck RNG, or just fuck chances. I usually like to go with something that is 100%. For that reason, I usually go with clarity. I usually go with rejuvenate. These are 100% things that you get. I usually go with attack. This is 100% things that you get. Out of options, I went with Phoenix Tail because this is 10% chance. So some things it's inevitable. But when I have options, I go with 100% things. Some things that I can guarantee that they're always gonna go in, they're always gonna give me the stuff that I need. Now, like I mentioned about Edward, because this is one commander where I go with feral nature, and obviously it's 10% chance to go in, and RNG is involved. This is his talent tree. The reason I'm going on Edward with that is because on the large pool of rage requirement for his primary skill, which is 1350, so that's pretty big. So I don't care if that goes just one time on a turn, one time in 10 turns, I do apologize, or one time in 12 turns. This guy required 1350, so that's a lot of turns until he's gonna start popping skills. For that reason, I go with the full skill talent tree, and it actually proved to be very, very helpful. This talent tree, I done it the first thing when I got him to level 60, and I haven't changed it since. And another commander where I go with full skill tree is Genghis, because he has a small pool of rage requirement and he's fully nuking focused. So for that reason, I just want to empower that. I just want to empower for him to actually do skills as fast as possible and as many as possible. The other commanders have a different story. You probably don't want to go with RNG. So for that reason, when I showed Cid's talent tree, I wouldn't go with feral nature, but I would definitely go with latent power. Exactly like Herman is done right now, but just put 3 points in latent power. Now let's go into the pairings, and now you'll probably understand more why I'm advising the latent power. One pair or 2 pairs that you can do right now, not involving Artemisia and Ramses. Artemisia and Ramses, they are new commanders, they are not out yet, or at least when I'm doing this video, they are not out, but they will be out. I just want to say about some pairings that people can do right now with Cid. My all-time favorite that I was using before all these Cav commanders came out destroying archers from all directions was Herman and Cid. Now the reason I was using Herman and Cid was not because of their damage, because if you look at their damage, 1150 for an epic, that's huge. Decrease target's rage by 100 and silences the target for 2 seconds. That's a legendary skill. I'm telling you, this is not an epic skill, this is a legendary skill. So very, very powerful primary skill for Herman. Then you have march speed and archers, exactly what attack and march speed, and it was going hand in hand with the march speed from Cid. Then you have rage restoration, so obviously you can pop more skills, normal attack, and so on. So Herman and Cid, they were actually moving as fast as the Cavs. Now that's very, very surprising. So that's pretty crazy, even if sometimes they are a little bit far behind, but they can still keep up with the Cavs. So that's a really, really nice pair, and I wasn't using it for damaging, because their damage compared to some Cav legendaries or some other commanders obviously is very low, but they were disabling. Herman was doing 2 seconds, Cid was doing 1 second if things were going bad, and they were going to like 50%. Then you get extra march speed, and then you can retreat from the battle. With all that march speed, once you get 50%, you just bounce off. You have the mobility to do it. But up to the point when Attila and Takeda are being released, I would say that Herman and Cid, they actually have a utility for the battlefield. Now another very interesting pair that you can do, except boosting the new commanders is Kusunoki and El Cid. And that is with the latent power, because Kusunoki have a crazy ton amount of additional damage on his first and on his fourth skill. So that's quite a lot of additional damage. El Cid has additional damage as well that you can do. And on top of that, Kusunoki has 50% defense to your archers. With his primary skill, he also removes all negative and control effects from Kusunoki. So if you actually need to retreat, that's very helpful, because negative and control effects, that's reducing the march speed. So when you get to 50%, you get the bonus from El Cid, and Kusunoki and El Cid can bounce up. So you have a little bit of AoE, and you have a little bit of control, plus a crazy ton of additional damage from El Cid. This is what I want to put out. Any of these marches that you want to use, you're not using them for damage. You can definitely try them in a 1 versus 1. They are not for damage. They are simply to have utilities with archers. They are simply to put archers on the battlefield, because against infantry, they'll definitely do some damage. Another interesting pair that I was told is being useful, I personally just use this pair to reinforce, is Edward with El Cid. Now that might sound a little bit crazy, and it definitely is, but Edward has 30% march speed and 30% archer health bonus. If you look at El Cid, when you get his expertise, you get a total of 25% defense, you have 30% health and 50% march speed plus 30. That's a whole lot of 45% march speed, which is pretty significant. 45% plus another 25% when he's reduced to 50%, that's 70%. At that amount of march speed, you can definitely bounce off the battlefield if things get crazy. So Edward and El Cid, again, they also have a utility for the battlefield, plus a little bit of survivability, like the other marches that I was trying to say. Now, introducing the new archer commanders, there's definitely a lot of utilities, and here is where latent power comes very in handy, and this is where El Cid has that comeback that I was talking about. A very viable option for El Cid is with Ramses. El Cid has additional damage, and Ramses has additional damage as well, because he does 800 or 1000 when his expertise, and then the next second he does 1000 again. Then he packs a lot of attack to the archers, skill damage reduction, march speed as well with a chance, and defense bonus, a little bit of healing factor. So a lot of possibilities for this march to actually get away from the battlefield, or even survive for a very long time on the battlefield. There's 25% defense from El Cid, plus 40, that's 65% defense with Ramses. Now there's also Artemisia, which also grants defense and health. And another thing I want to mention about Artemisia is the 4th skill. Now it doesn't mention over here, normal attack have a 10% chance to cause the target to continuously take damage factor of 400 each second, but also increase their skill damage. So this is increasing the target's skill damage. So I want to correct when I've done the review about Artemisia, when I thought that she's actually increasing her skill damage, but it's increasing the target that she's hitting. That target skill damage is increasing. And lasts for 3 seconds. Now this is definitely additional damage factor. It doesn't mention it over here, but there's definitely additional damage factor. I just showed you Kusunoki, and I can show you a plethora of other commanders where they just say additional damage factor. So you can go at Pelagius, you look at his primary skill, additional damage factor. So just to clarify where latent power is actually going in effect. Then you have, I already showed Kusunoki, you have Samtsu that has additional damage factor. This 200 is additional damage factor. From the legendary, you have Frederick. For the next 3 seconds, all attack have a 100% chance to deal additional damage factor, 800. So all these commanders that they mention they have additional damage factor, they benefit from the latent power. Artemisia and El Cid, that can also be a very interesting pair. Artemisia and Kusunoki, that can also be a very interesting pair. Edward and Ramses, that can also be a very interesting pair for archers. Obviously Tomiris as well, which I haven't included, but I actually don't see a way how El Cid will work with Tomiris. When you want to find a pair for El Cid, the other pair needs to have something similar, either in control abilities, either in having additional damage, so you kind of make a pair for additional damage, Either they have march speed or they have defensive capabilities for archers to actually survive longer on the battlefield. So something needs to match from El Cid skill with the other commander. So I do believe that El Cid will definitely have a comeback on the battlefield, especially if you want to make 2 pairs for field battles. So if you want to make at least 2 pairs of archers for field battles, you're probably fighting a lot of infantry. Then my best guess would be El Cid with Ramses and Artemisia with YSG. That would be my best 2 guesses. If you want to use a third one, then it's Edward and Tomiris, but they will be super squishy, meaning that they will be glass cannon, so they'll definitely be the first target. If you're not happy at using El Cid, just put Artemisia with Ramses and that's it. But I really believe that this pair that I just mentioned, they actually have go on the battlefield. Maybe not on 1 versus 1, because everyone does 1 versus 1 tested. They don't just come out on top. Same thing about Leonidas and Guan Yu. People done a lot of tests, being unhappy about them. That's not the way to do it. You need to think about the utilities they have on the field battles. So for example, since I was mentioning about him, Guan Yu is the silence, the 3-second silence on the targets. That's huge. That's huge on the field battles. But anyway, people like to do 1 versus 1 tests, so you can definitely test this pair that I was actually mentioning. And I'm definitely believing that these are going to be solid pairs, solid marchers, and with these 2 commanders, archers will definitely have a comeback. So yeah, the wannabe legendary El Cid might have utility after all for archers. Right now, archers are kind of being demolished on the battlefield wherever they are being used, but with a lot of stats packed together, and that being either defense, health, or march speed, you can actually have a very useful utility for archers. Well, I do hope you find this very, very interesting. I did talk a lot about El Cid, probably a lot more than I would ever wanted, but it just came up to me, all this idea, and I was looking at Artemisia and I was looking at Ramses, and I said, well, is El Cid actually that useless on the battlefield now? Are archers really that bad? They don't really have a comeback. I mean, I've kept trying them, but Edward and YSG, they are just glass cannon type of commanders, and they just bring me a lot of severely wounded. YSG and Frederick is the same. They just brought me a lot of severely wounded. But looking at El Cid and actually thinking about El Cid, I came up with this idea, and looking at the new commanders as well, trying to stack defense option on the archers, trying to give them a defense option and trying to give them more stats. They actually have a comeback on the battlefield. So I hope you find this video very, very helpful, and I hope you do understand a couple of things that I mentioned in this video, including about the skill part. So I hope that's clarified. Until next time, this is your boy Legeroni signing off. Peace out, yo, and take care.